Well, it's here. It's here. We saw it coming last year. The Puppet episode. Star Trek Strange New Worlds, Season 4, Episode 5, titled Level 5 Transporter Accident. Level 5 cluster frack, if you ask me. I almost did a reaction video, watched it, and then reacted to it. But honestly, it would have just been me going like, oh my God. Why? Yeah. Why? Puppets. Jim Henson Studios contributed the puppets. So, in my mind, I'm seeing Roddenberry and Jim Henson rolling over in their graves after this same monstrosity is being kind. The show starts with the Enterprise going to Vulcan. Spock is... this is a Spock episode. Let me make this clear. This is a Spock episode. So we hear him talking about needing to focus more on logic, studying more about being logical, because, apparently that's not what this Spock has been doing. He's just been like not being Leonard Nimoy Spock, let's be honest. So they're on their way to Vulcan, but they're slowing down because there's some pirates in the area and the Federation wants to show the flag. Stay away, we got the Enterprise here. While that's happening, Scotty has an idea. He wants to work on expanding the range of the transporters. And this kind of, in my mind, calls back to the Kelvin universe, where in the first 2009 Star Trek movie, original Spock mentioned that Scotty developed transwarp beaming, which basically allowed beaming from planet to planet. Why would you need a ship? It's a stupid idea. Screw you, J.J. Abrams. Stop screwing with shit. But this is what it is. So this, in my mind, says kind of good. It's like they're really putting this more in the Kelvin verse than the actual original Star Trek verse. I doubt they thought that, but in my mind, I'm good with it. What Scotty's trying to do is extend the transporter range. So he's asking for Spock's help, and he's going to transport an object to a former classmate's starship, the object being little Ricky, apparently, which his family or brothers used to torture him with. So Spock agrees, okay, I'll help. And Spock is kind of being moody, but he's got to go to his calisthenics session with Lon. And let's be honest, I mean, I got issues with Lon, Nooney, and Singh being on the ship, but I'm not going to object to a calisthenics session with her. Unfortunately for Spock, when he shows up, it does not go the way he plans because, oh no, yes, Lon dumps Spock. They've been each dealing with the ramifications of the Griffin incident. She needs to focus on herself. And Spock is like, yes, I understand. And then she leaves. So the relationship is over. And she's like, there's no tragedy in a romance that reaches its natural conclusion. But still, we have sad face Spock. Yes, Spock is sad. Pike arrives on the bridge and he's very excited because he's got a new chair. And the chair is going to be the MacGuffin for this episode. Because see, from this chair, from the new captain's chair, he's able to issue voice commands and type in commands so they can basically control the ship. So now this is the command center of the USS Enterprise, designed specifically for the captain of the USS Enterprise, Captain Christopher Pike. Anyway, Spock is trying to meditate, and he can't. He's being haunted by the recollections of what happened on the Griffin. So he does what any logical person would do. He's experiencing a Vulcan experiencing emotional trauma. What does he do? He calls his ex-fiance. Yeah, that's right. He calls T'Pring up because T'Pring in the Griffin episode allowed him to focus logic, even though she cut off his ears. She agrees to come on board to spend some time with him to talk about logic and helping him recenter. But there has promise, rather, of no hijinks.
I'll only return to your ship if you assure me no hijinks.
Yeah, a Vulcan says no hijinks. So he says, I will do my best, and arranges transport. So T'Pring's on her way. Meanwhile, Spock is helping Scotty set up for this test. He's putting these little transponders, whatever, around the ship for the long-range beaming. Scotty starts doing the beaming with puppet little Ricky, and then bad things happen. Suddenly, it goes wrong. Everyone on the ship is being transported. There's all these transporter beams on every person on the ship, and then the ship disappears. So Spock is sitting out there in the shuttle. It's like, where'd the Enterprise go? And then it's suddenly back. It beams back. So the entire ship was beamed away. Now it's back. Spock lands his shuttle back on the Enterprise, comes on board. Things seem strange, and he walks onto the bridge. And guess what? Everyone is a Jim Henson puppet. You got Puppet Pike, you got Puppet Lon, you got Puppet Una, you got Puppet Ortegas. Everyone's a puppet, and no one knows what happened.
This is crazy. This is just impossible.
And then now that they're all puppets, because they got their little puppet fingers, they can't work any of the controls. So, oh no, the only person on the ship that is not a puppet is Spock. Oh, wait, I forgot. You know who else was on board the ship? T'Pring. We now have Vulcan T'Pring as a puppet, which is kind of weird because they have like 3 fingers. So I don't know if she can do the salute properly. I don't know.
How does that Vulcan salute go?
They're trying to figure out what the hell happened. No one really knows. Basically, Scotty screwed up and transporter accident, level 5 transporter accident, whatever that means, caused everyone to turn into a puppet because Puppet Ricky was in the transporter matrix, and for some reason, everyone got turned into a puppet. Now, mind you, they still have all their mind. They're still able to move around. They're just puppets. But they can't operate the ship because they're all puppets. The only one who can is Spock. So now Spock is now tasked with doing everything for everyone. It's running left and right. Starfleet's going to send a ship, but they don't know how it's going to be. It's going to be like 2 days or so. And Spock has to like handle everyone. It's like, Uhura's like, Mr. Spock, I need help. Peli is like, Mr. Spock, I need help. I can't do the accent. It's stupid and dumb. So is the character. But, that's engineer yelling, I need help. You got Lon over there, I need help. You got Ortega's, I can't fly the ship. And it's just driving Spock nuts. And it's driving Spock nuts, even though it shouldn't be affected because he's Spock. But the real Spock would not be. But Star Trek Strange New World Spock, big heart on his sleeve Spock, is affected by this. So basically, Spock has a panic attack.
Spock, my earpiece popped out again.
Spock, my chair needs...
Acknowledged. I have a number of requirements. Seem to be having trouble breathing.
He starts breaking down in front of T'Pring. But fortunately, T'Pring, because she's a strong, powerful Vulcan woman, knows exactly what to do. So she slaps Spock across the face.
You slapped me.
That's right. Puppet bitch slap brings Spock back to reality, saying he can't help everyone, but you need to focus on your job, be logical, and you can handle this. I'm like, oh, you're right. Thank you, T'Pring. And then she slaps him again. Why? Because now he's being emotional. So, Spock, this dude just can't win for losing. It makes sense. He's not a great character. I mean, when has Spock ever been a great character in Star Trek? Because clearly he's not here. He's beholden to being dumped by Khan's somehow descendant and then his ex-fiancée who broke up with him.
You're out of your Vulcan mind, Spock.
Well, Scotty apparently thinks he came up with a solution to solve the puppet problem. He tries to transport Lon through the transporter. It doesn't work, turning her back to human. But we do find out is that the puppets can be damaged as her arm pops off. It just goes, blip, there it goes. Fortunately, she's a little off-put by it because she lost her arm. It doesn't hurt that much. And all it takes to repair it is literally a thread and needle. So yeah, Spock patches her back together in sickbay, and she's all good to go because she's a frickin' puppet. And put them back together, they're fine. At this point, Orion pirate interceptor shows up because the pirates are in the area operating, and they detected no life signs on their prize except for one. Like, Yeah, we're just curious. We thought we could help. We're totally not going to try to seize your ship. And the captain, whose name, I think, what the hell was her name? Charul? I don't know. It's literally spelled Chrol. Whatever. Orion captain. Go with that. Wants to know what's happening. And it's clear she's looking like, I'm going to take that ship. That's a big, nice, pretty Federation ship. I want that because I'm an Orion pirate. The Enterprise tried to do audio communication only, but because Uhura has puppet hands, she screws it up, and now they can see their puppets, and the Orion's like, you're puppets.
Captain Pike, are you a puppet?
I mean, literally, that's the whole thing. She's literally calls them puppets. And Pike is like, no, we may be puppets, but we're still Starfleet officers. We will fight you. Well, that doesn't go well because the Orions attack. And of course, the Enterprise's crew is all with their puppet hands and they can't operate anything. So the Enterprise takes some major damage. And that means it gives an opportunity for the Orions to board the ship. Spock goes to confront them. T'Pring comes along. Puppet T'Pring's like, here's a bunch of phasers. You have to confront them. And he tries to confront them. He shoots one and literally then gets his phaser shot out of his hand by the Orion captain and then gets stunned and knocked out. So, once again, Spock put down by a woman. Just one is green face instead of green blooded.
Could this be human joke number 663?
Okay, so with Spock taken out, the Orion captain decides, I'm going to take control of the ship. So she asks Spock for the command codes, and of course he refuses. So she decides, I'm just going to go take the bridge, and then you're going to give me the codes after I take the bridge. So she goes up to the bridge, her and her other pirate friends, and it's not much of a fight. The puppet bridge crew tries to stop them, and that does not go well. Because they're puppets, they get picked up and just tossed aside. Pelia gets cut in two. The Orion captain pulls out a sword and slashes her right across the middle. So now we got, stuffing all over the place. The puppet crew retreats. They all form up back in, I think, Pike's quarters, because they figure the Orions don't care about quarters. They're only searching otherwise, control centers, engineering, that sort of thing. Chapel sews Pelia back together because she saw Spock do it with Lon's arm, and Pelia is fine. Captain Pike says, we need to rescue Spock. So, Team Puppet, let's go rescue Spock. All right, so Spock's still being kept prisoner. He's kept in the ship's bar. He's being questioned by, what's the dude's name? Joe Latrulia? He's on Brooklyn 911. Funny dude on that show. So this guy's questioning him and kind of psychoanalyzing him, explaining isn't it better to be, controlled by women so you don't have to think about it for yourself? And it's that's a whole conversation on its own, guys. It's it's so much better. There's this whole thing where Orion Society, I almost said Rami and said it so many times. Orion Society, the women secrete pheromones which control the men. So even though there are Orion slave girls, they're secretly in control of the Orion Society. This was established back in Enterprise. So that's why the captain's female. And the cuckold male's it's so much better to be controlled. I don't have to think about it. And he's like, Spock, why don't you do that? Listen to your women more. Why don't you listen to T'Pring? I mean, she's got a lot to say. Anyway, he's not able to get the codes out of Spock, so Orion captain decides, I have another idea. I'm going to make you tell me. Bring Spock to an airlock, and Spock's like, killing me will not get the codes. And she's like, I know. I will kill someone you care about, because you're a Vulcan. We all know Vulcans like Spock care so much about their captain. Oh no, they're going to eject Puppet Pike into space. So they throw him in the airlock. And at this point, oh, so shameful. It's a scene. Spock and Pike are separated by a window pane. And Pike puts his puppet hand up to it. And then Spock puts his real hand up to it. Do we see what's happening? An Enterprise captain and Mr. Spock separated by a pane of glass, and one of them is about to die. And then Pike says, the needs of the many.
Wrong! It is wrong!
Yeah, I was going to drink this, but screw that. How fucking dare you? You play Star Trek Wrath of Khan for cheap laugh. Pike gets ejected into space, and the crew sees like Puppet Pike just floating. But guess what? Puppet Pike is not dead, because space can't kill puppets because they're puppets. Because science or something? I don't know. The crew then pulls Pike back in, and I don't know how this happens. They can't operate the ship with their puppet hands. Captain Pike is literally at the window in his quarters, just like, meh, 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 meh. And they somehow get him back in. I don't know. Puppet crew decides, you know what? We're going to mount another attack. It's going to be better this time. Why? Because we're going to use our puppet powers. Yeah, we can do things that real people can't. Like, we can fit into small spaces. We can survive vacuums, and we can use chaotic energy and physical comedy to defeat these Orion pirates. So to get out and pass the Orion pirate, they put on a giant trench coat, stand on top of each other, classic Muppet fashion, do a fake out, attack the guard, and take him out. Oh, God. This is rough. This is a rough hour. So Spock is still prisoner, trying to get the information on him still. And they bring T'Pring in. The Orions have captured T'Pring somehow, or it's part of the plan. I don't care. It's stupid. And the guard says, I'm going to hurt her if you don't give me the code. So he lights her hand on fire, which is like, I don't feel anything. I'm a puppet. And then they take out the guard, and she lights him on fire. She tells Spock that Pike is alive. And then she mind melds with him to give him the plan. I suppose to tell him the plan, so we're get a puppet mind meld. All right. So puppet crew comes up with a turbo lift, and it's puppet party time. They attack the Orions on the ship in true Muppet fashion. They like bite at ankles. You have Dr. Mabenga using what appears to be knitting needles, stabbing a guy. And the whole point is like, we have to take control of the ship. So Spock's like, I need to get back into the chair. How do I get back into the chair? I have an idea. I need to distract the Orion captain who's sitting in the chair. How would I distract Orion captain? I throw Puppet Pike at her. So Puppet Pike flies through the air, basically becomes like a face hugger on the Orion captain. And then Spock takes control of the chair, just sits there quietly. She's like, you can't do anything. Give me the codes. Give me the codes. And he's not talking. Why? Because Puppet Pike explains if he talks, he's going to use air, and we've turned off life support. So he's just like holding his breath till everyone passes out, but not the puppets, because they don't need air. So the Orions all pass out. Spock then passes out. But guess what, guys? The day is saved. The puppets put an oxygen mask on Spock. He's back in sickbay. Everyone is safe. The Orions are in the brig, and Scotty somehow figured out how to reverse the puppet effect. But before we do that, guys, all the puppets saw Puppet Pike floating in space safely. So then all the puppet crew literally just takes a walkabout around the Enterprise in space, just like floating around. Yay, we're puppets in space. Oh God, I just remembered Pigs in Space. I would rather watch Pigs in Space. There are much better episodes of Pigs in Space than this fucking thing. Oh God. Before they're all, brought back to normal human mode or whatever they are, Spock and Puppet T'Pring share a private moment in his quarters where they talk about logic and hijinks being a way to defeat the bad guys, and they hold hands, and then Mr. Spock kisses a puppet. You know, I had enough problems with this whole Spock and T'Pring thing, considering the canon from A Muck Time, where he said, I've not seen her since she was 13 years old, but now, you know, they had regularly had sex before they broke up. And then, you know, he broke up so he could have sex with Christine, and then he broke up with Christine and then started dating Lon so he could have sex with, you know, Lon, because that's Spock. Vulcan's sex fiend. It doesn't make any goddamn sense. So then all of a sudden Spock wakes up in his quarters. And then there's normal Vulcan T'Pring there. And he's like, when did you change back? She's like, what do you mean you changed back? What are you talking about? Well, guess what? This entire episode, it was a dream. It was a dream. It was Spock's dream. Trying to work out his emotional trauma. T'Pring was never a puppet. No one was ever a puppet. It was all in Spock's mind. There was a transporter accident when he was on the shuttle, and he got brought back, and he's safe. He was never in any harm. It was just a dream. And Puppet T'Pring helped him with his anxiety and put him on the path of true logic. And the episode ends. Spock now on his new path for true logic to become Leonard Nimoy Spock, because we are aligning the timeline somehow. And then sitting at his desk in his extremely large quarters, which should not exist, is Puppet Little Ricky. End scene. This may be one of the most insulting things to basic human intelligence I've ever seen. So where did this idea come from? How we're puppets? Clearly we have the Angel analogy. Remember when Angel was turned into a puppet? That was well done because the characters knew what they were doing. The writers knew what they were doing. It was played for laughs, but it was played real. Basically, from what I understand, this idea had been around for some time. Someone said, hey, what if we did puppets? And it was knocked back and forth. And then ultimately, like, hey, we're doing season 4. We're near the end. And we've fucked this thing up so much that we're getting canceled. Let's just shoot our wad and do whatever the fuck we want. And then Jim Henson's studio is like, hey, cool, we'll make puppets for you. That sounds cool. They committed time and money to this. Built an entire episode around the Enterprise crew being puppets. And look, that is the sum total of the creative priorities of this writing staff. There's no reason anyone needed to become a puppet in this show at all. This is a Spock show, right? And as we know, it's all Spock's mind. It's all Spock's mind. So it's like Spock is working through his emotional trauma from the Griffin, from breaking up with T'Pring, from breaking up with Chapel, from breaking up with Lon. Poor emotional Spock, Vulcan Spock. You didn't need this. You didn't need the Orion attack. You didn't need this bullshit puppet crap to address Spock's issues, which I'll talk in a second. They just wanted the gimmick, because that's all the show is about. Gimmick. Let's get the likes. Let's get the clicks. Hey, guys, we're doing dinosaurs. Hey, guys, we're doing Event Horizon. Hey, guys, we're doing Casablanca. Hey, guys, we're doing The Muppet Show. How about you do Star Trek?
As I indicated, Admiral, that thought had not occurred to me.
So, the whole Bobby Ewing ending. And if you're an old guy like me, you know what I mean when I say Bobby Ewing. This is callback to Dallas in the 80s. Bobby Ewing, the character, was shot and killed in one season. And then a whole season happened without him being there. And then the next season begins and he's alive. He appears in a shower. It turns out the last season was entirely a dream. And that's what this episode is. This is entirely a dream for Spock. He's injured by transporter accident. He gets knocked out, which means everything we watched was all in Spock's mind. The crew turning into puppets, the Orion attack, the crazy puppet attack, the dishonoring of Wrath of Khan. That's all in Spock's head. Here's the problem. Everything we should have seen should have been from Spock's perspective. He should have been there the entire time. There are scenes where Spock is not present. This should not be happening. It doesn't make any sense. And then when it's revealed as the dream, it's like, what the hell? It's literally like, we don't have a solution, so we're just going to do this final twist because it cheapens it. It's a cheap cheat. It's like, we really don't know how to explain how they all became puppets, so it's just going to be Spock's dream. Like, why the fuck is Spock dreaming about the goddamn Muppets? Did Amanda, like, Spock... I found ancient recordings of a puppet show from the 1970s. Why don't we watch it together, young Spock? Why is he dreaming about fucking Muppets? It doesn't make any sense. Why? Because they don't care about making sense. They just want the fracking gimmick.
Good, honest hatred.
Oh my God, I'm getting more and more angry. All right, Spock. Let's talk about the disrespect to the character Spock. This show has never treated Spock right from the beginning. Spock is an emotional character. Why in the show? Because someone watched The Cage and saw him hold the Telosian singing plants and smile. It's like, a little smile from Spock. And then at one point, he got emotional when the yeomen in number one were transported away to be concubines for Chris Pike and the Telosians, glass menagerie. And he screamed, "The women!" The women! So this entire time, Spock has been this emotional character exploring his human side. It's a modern invention just to get a more reactive Spock to play with. That's it. Spock has never been a character presented in this type of identity crisis. In the original series, we saw Spock dealing with being both human and Vulcan. But still, the Vulcan side was always like, I have to be logical. I recognize this. I'm coping with it. There are times where the human side slept out. For instance, I think it was this side of Paradise where the spore plant sprayed on him. He fell in love with the character, Kalani? Was it Kalani? This whole thing, I think, is supposed to be meant growth for Spock to becoming logical. And it is so badly told. First off, he never should have been this way. He needs to become Leonard Nimoy Spock. He should have always been that. Just because you saw one little clip in a show where the canon was not fully locked down does not mean you create a character based off it. You dumbasses.
I'll double dumbass on you!
And then just to be like completely owned by T'Pring. We already know, like, he said, I wouldn't be the man I was if not for my adopted sister, Michael Burnham. And we got T'Pring, like, Mr. Spock, you need to be more logical and less human. He's like, oh, yeah, that's a good idea. Thank you, T'Pring. I couldn't think of that with my dumb male Vulcan mind. This is not Mr. Spock. This is Mr. Cuck.
That's correct.
I'm looking over my notes. I'm like, puppets are played for cheap laughs. Say they are played for cheap laughs. Okay? I mean, it's like, there's times where, like, the ship gets attacked and literally everyone's like Kermit with flailing arms. And they're all acting puppet-like, they're supposed to be human, but now they have puppet personality because they're puppet people. Una attacks someone and she's like flailing, punching him with her puppet fist. Why isn't this working? And they just get tossed aside. We even get dumbass sound effects when a puppet gets knocked aside. It's like, blah, blah, blah. It's played so cheaply, and that's not what Star Trek should be. Okay, yes, they've done comedy episodes. They've done it fucking smart. Trouble with Tribbles. Hello? Funny episode. Great episode. You even got the gimmick episodes in TNG. The Big Goodbye. You can do this in Star Trek, but this is so over the top because they wanted the puppets. It's dumb. It's stupid. I talk about the Orion pirates being dumbasses, but it's not worth my time. They're idiots. They're shit. They should have just come on board and taken over. They play into the puppet stupidity. The attack on the bridge at the end, they're being taken over by puppets. They're flailing around like some dumbass comedy routine. It diminishes the show. You're trying to be serious? You're not serious. You're a fucking joke. Everyone knows it. Literally, it's like someone said, let's do a show about puppets. And yeah, let's do that. Great. Whatever. Oh, fuck. Sorry, I just looked at my last note. Wrath of Khan. I already said it. Don't stop. Don't do this. Don't do that. Don't cheapen a truly emotional moment for Star Trek fans. You did. That's disrespect. Okay? If you want to make your fucking comedy episode, make your comedy episode. But don't you dare cheapen a truly emotional moment for fans of this venerable series who watch it from the beginning, who love the original Kirk and Spock, and you cheapen it with a fucking puppet hand. Go screw yourselves. I'm done with that. And I'm done with this episode. I'm done with it. I've ranted. Oh, God, I've ranted way too long. But you know what? I did make a list. I made a list. Things I would rather watch from what I label good Star Trek compared to this pile of excrement. All right. Here we go. Let's go some original series. Spock's brain. Yeah. Aliens steal Spock's brain. That's it. That's the whole story. He's walking around without a brain, like a remote control. Leonard Nimoy was extremely embarrassed, and yet still more dignified than a bunch of fucking puppets. Turnabout Intruder, the last episode of the original series. It's a sexist body swap finale. Jesus. And it's all about some woman complaining that she can't be a captain because she doesn't have a cock. That's the episode. Code of Honor. Oh my God. That was a piece of garbage. Look, so fucking racist. It's unbelievable. And I'm saying it. Shades of Grey. Clip show made during the writer's strike. We got Riker laying on a sickbay bed and just reliving 2 seasons, and no one gives a shit. Sub Rosa. I would rather watch Beverly Crusher fuck a ghost again than this episode. Move Along Home, DS9. Alan Moraine, count to 3. Alan Moraine, come with me. I would clearly much rather follow Alan Moraine than this show down the puppet pathway. Meridian. Fuck. Dax falls in love with some dude in 2 hours and is ready to give up her entire life and the symbiote's life just to follow this dude. I think maybe that was a 2 bars of Latinum episode. The Muse, I can't go into it. The Muse, it's fucking awful. It's a DS9 episode. We haven't watched it yet. Goddamn, terrible episode. I met Sir Lofton. Nice dude. This was not a good showing from that man. Oh, Hitman's favorite, Threshold. Janeway and Paris have salamander babies. I would take salamander babies over this crap. Spirit Folk. Oh, the Irish Village. Janeway falls in love with the bartender in the Irish Village and we're hologram. Oh my God. Enterprise. These are the voyages. This is how Star Trek ended in 2005. A callback to the Pegasus episode, not not really giving the Enterprise crew the proper send-off. Bottom line, those are terrible episodes. I'd watch those over this piece of shit. This is a complete failure and complete betrayal of what Star Trek should be. And I'm fine saying it. You know why? Because I've been watching Star Trek since 1980. So, oh, you're racist. You're such a sexist. You're not accepting new. Go fuck yourself. Star Trek is about telling good stories with good characters. We're not getting that. We're getting gimmicks and bullshit. That's all this is. When the postmortem of Kurtzman Trek is written, his unadulterated murder of this once beloved franchise, at the top of the funeral pyre, we're going to have Star Trek Discovery. We're going to have Starfleet Academy, Section 31, and this episode.
Are you sure it isn't time for a colorful metaphor?
I don't know what's next. I know Trelane's coming. All right. Questions, comments, witticisms down below. Click all the good buttons. Don't watch this episode unless you like pain. See you guys next time.